Men, we have been ordered to march into the jungle, where we will establish a fortress for liberty and justice.
They laughing about?
Say please much, sir.
You sure?
Certainly.
Thanks.
It is difficult to discuss the Vietnam War since most Americans have been misled by myths. These are so common that they appear in documentaries about the war. As a result, many Americans become angry when facts are presented. Retired U.S. Army Colonel David Hackworth wrote that after serving 5 years in Vietnam, he didn't fully understand what happened until he retired and read several books about Vietnam. He wrote that most Vietnam vets know little about the war because they spent 1 year at one location living aboard American bases. The best movie to dispel some myths is the great film Go Tell the Spartans, starring Burt Lancaster. The film is based on Daniel Ford's 1967 novel Incident at Muc Wa, about U.S. Army advisors during the early part of the Vietnam War in 1964, when Ford was a correspondent in Vietnam for The Nation magazine.
Sergeant Alianowski. Sir. See the captain has access to anything he wishes to see.
Yes, sir. This way, sir.
Now you're meant to wear those tiger stripe Frenchified fatigues? Strictly unauthorized in this command, aren't they?
Well, sir, I like to allow the men some freedom in the field, sir, for the sake of esprit, you know.
Esprit. French word, I believe, isn't it?
I believe so.
You know what happened to the French in this country? They got the shit kicked out of them. And that's not going to happen to the U.S. Army, is it?
No, sir.
The biggest myth is that the 1954 Geneva Accords divided Vietnam in half and caused a civil war. The Geneva Accords were signed by French and Viet Minh representatives and provided for a ceasefire and temporary division of the country into two military zones at the 17th parallel. All Viet Minh forces were to withdraw north of that line. Captured French and colonial troops would be released in the south, and the defeated French were allowed to remain in the south for 2 years to allow a gradual withdrawal. In 1956, the temporary demarcation line disappeared as national elections were to be held, supervised by an international commission to unify the country. Viet Minh leaders were certain to win these elections, and this was known to American President Dwight Eisenhower, who was concerned about the loss of Western influence in Asia. As the French left, the American CIA arrived and created a government that became known as South Vietnam. The CIA flew in Ngo Dinh Diem from New Jersey and appointed him president as U.S. Army advisors took control of the defeated French colonial army and began to expand it. Anyone who doubts these events can read the Encyclopedia Britannica entry and one from a U.S. State Department document, plus the short video, all linked below. Or just listen to career CIA officer Ralph McGehee explain.
When you were with the CIA in Vietnam, did you have any direct connection with the press?
No, I didn't. I do know of the case of the press in Saigon in the early 50s, where they were meeting directly with Colonel Lansdale. 5 members of the most prestigious newspapers in the United States were meeting with Colonel Lansdale, the agency's man in Saigon. And
how often would they meet?
Quite frequently. I don't know the exact frequency. But you will look at the press coverage for that era, and you'll find no mention of agency activities in the press. Yet the agency was totally responsible for the creation of the Diem regime. It created the Diem regime, it built an illusion about the Diem regime, and it used the press to sell the illusion to the United States, the illusion that lives on today in the United States.
It is common for some Vietnam vets to proclaim that the Vietnamese loved American soldiers. but they didn't live among the people or understand their history. American GIs in Vietnam interacted with the few Vietnamese employed on their bases that were happy to have a great job, or businessmen who profited off their presence. In addition, all Vietnamese feared arrest, imprisonment, torture, and death if they openly opposed the American occupation or the puppet regime in Saigon. Ho Chi Minh was the most popular man in all of Vietnam, and his soldiers were respected fighters for independence. The people of Vietnam never accepted the CIA-appointed puppet dictators in Saigon, who ruled the South with an iron hand. Their military officers focused on amassing wealth and had little interest in fighting the Viet Minh.
By God, Hazer, I was right. They don't want us in Mo Qua.
They don't want us anywhere, sir.
Hazer, it's a key defense point. Look how quick the Kong moved in.
Kong moved in because they knew it was a weak point, sir.
What's the reaction time for your reinforcements?
With luck, I can get air support in about 30 minutes.
I'm not talking about air support. I'm talking about infantry. Bodies, fella. How long does it take for you to get your reinforcements in there?
2 or 3 days, maybe.
Where the hell are your reserves? Bangkok?
Sir, I have to get my reserves from the province chief, Colonel Min. Colonel Lard-ass Min.
Well, ask him. I'll be ready to move.
I have to make a deal with him, sir. You don't lend support for nothing.
Right. We're trying to help these people fight the Reds and they throw blocks into us. The only way we're going to win this war is to get United States combat troops in here. Now, you do what you have to do to get those reserves and beef up Mo Qua. By God, we can't let those scroungy little jungle buggers chase the American Advisory Command off a post. Can we?
A key justification for the American intervention was to claim this was part of a worldwide fight against communism. The American government constantly warned its citizens about evil communists, so this was an easy sell. They never mentioned that Vietnam accepted weapons from the Soviets and Chinese only after the United States stopped providing military supplies and established a colony in the South. China was a traditional enemy of Vietnam, and mistrust existed. Sharing a nation's wealth is popular among the poor, so it's no surprise that Vietnamese liked the idea of expelling foreign rulers to improve their lives. Yet Americans assumed that communists were lunatics and easy to spot.
God damn it, Corsi, I send you out to map the fucking jungle trails. You come back with a bunch of sick-looking dinks. What the hell am I supposed to do with them?
Say Kong.
They're refugees.
Ah, say goddamn lie. Say Kong family.
No, they're not.
What is it, Sergeant? Who are these people?
Corsi dragged them out of the pucker bush. Cowboy, give them rice and run them off.
Now, just a moment. Now, your attitude is wrong, Sergeant. It is part of our job here to win the hearts and minds of the people.
Sir.
We will make them welcome.
Sir, you don't understand.
Understand my duty, Sergeant. Well, Corporal Lincoln, take these natives to the hospital and get them a health check. Corporal Corsi, I'll make you responsible for seeing they have food and shelter.
Sir, Cowboy says this is a Kong family.
They don't look like communists to me.
Sir, I've been in this fucking war for 3 years. I still don't know what a communist looks like.
Corporal Corsi, were these people armed in any way?
No, sir.
Well, there you are, Sergeant. Carry on as directed, Corporal Lincoln.
A myth created after the war is that North Vietnam was defeated and about to surrender in 1970, but American President Richard Nixon pulled out American troops too soon. But the worst American military defeats occurred as American troops were withdrawing. Fire support base Ripcord was abandoned under fire in 1970, and the 1971 excursion into Laos, called Operation Lamsan 791, was a disaster. The American Secretary of Defense during that time, Robert McNamara, destroyed this myth in a great documentary, Fog of War. Another post-war myth claims the South Vietnamese army collapsed in 1975 only because the American Congress cut off aid. This lie is refuted in the video linked below, The American Retreat from Vietnam. The Americans left because they failed to establish a colony in southern Vietnam. After 2 decades of fighting, American leaders finally accepted that the effort was going nowhere.
Too bad we couldn't have shown you a better wall. Like hitting the beach at Anzio, or smashing through the Bastogne with Patton. That was a tour worth the money. This one? This one's a sucker's tour. Going nowhere. Just round and round in circles.